Good evening, everyone. This is the May 10th, 2023 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This open meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone, dialing 408-650-3123, and then using access code 942-845-549. Or you can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. All supporting materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to the commissioners and are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda for tonight's meeting. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission. And before we start, let me do a roll call of the members that are here today. Tom Fallon. Here. Michelle Colross.
Here.
Patrick Cunningham. Here. Megan Langley.
Here.
Chris Carey. Here. And also town officials participating, Jesse Averka.
Here.
All right. So please also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television in case if you suffer from insomnia, you want to watch it later on. I'll try not to be too long tonight. The first item on our agenda for tonight is the 7 p.m. public hearing. Crocker Design Group, a request for determination of applicability for 735 Southbridge Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Mr. Newhall.
Hi, how you doing tonight? Dave Newhall with Crocker Design Group here on behalf of the applicant.
So, Mr. Newhall, you and I went out to the site a couple weeks ago, and at that time, we looked at the paths that were proposed for the front of the building, and also the dumpster that's going to be, I guess, relocated in the back of the property. And at my suggestion, I thought it would be better to move the flagpole than to knock down a mature tree. You recall that?
Yep, and we were submitted a revised plan, moving the display pad, hoping that we won't be able to move the flagpole as well, but either way, our proposal will keep both trees out front, and if the flagpole needs to be moved, it would just be moved along the frontage.
Okay, so that suggested change was accepted by the owner?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I have no other questions, sir. Does anyone else from the commission have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, what were the trees that were?
I forget, what kind of trees are those?
I'm not quite sure. They're more kind of decorative street trees. I forget off the top of my head exactly the type.
But basically, they were mature trees, and the original proposal called for one of them to be cut down, and I didn't see the point in them doing that. And apparently the owner agreed. So, is there any comment from the public? There being none, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. All right, Mr. Newhall, we should be rendering a decision this evening. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple minutes. The next item on our agenda is a 7:05 public hearing, Land Design Collaborative, a request for determination of applicability for property at 12 Auburn Hill Road. Is there a motion to open? So moved. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? It's a vote. All right. Good evening, Mr. Scott.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So we had an opportunity to go out to the site and look at what's being proposed for 12 Auburn Hill Road. Have any of you other people been out there? Other people, haven't you? I'm sorry, it's been a long day. I know Jesse came out with us. I think Patrick, you were there? Maybe not. In any event,
I was there, Mike.
yeah, I thought so. So we walked the property, we talked to the abutter. I mean, I have no other comments aside from that. I think the project as it's represented by the applicant speaks for itself. There is no wetland impact that I can determine. The filing was made because it was within our jurisdiction. So I have no other comments. I don't know if any other members of the commission have comments. If not, is there any comment from the audience?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you state your name and also your address, please?
Ed Usher, 94 South Pole Road.
Okay,
My worries is the water coming down on our property.
Mhm.
We're on 94 South Pole, backstab whole hill. And we had troubles since Goldstein and Growitz built up there.
which was how long ago?
Quite a while.
Long time.
So,
But my problem is with the water running down.
Mhm.
The brook hasn't been cleaned out in years. And if Goldstein and Growitz could have built on that lot, they would have.
well, sir, I would submit to you that this has been given to us. We have limited jurisdiction on this. I also have to believe that if the town didn't believe that that lot was a buildable lot, a building permit would not have been issued. So that's, sir, that's beyond our jurisdiction. I'm aware of the issues of the water runoff.
Yep.
There may be a question of the water line in that street maybe being collapsed. Certainly, it might be undersized. And I suggested to,
It's not in that street, it's South Hold, and all that land backs our property. And all the water runs right down through, okay?
okay,
And, it's just too much water. And even the brook needs to be dug out eventually, you know?
okay.
The,
I mean, have you contacted anyone from the Department of Public Works about this?
I didn't know about the
Okay.
wetlands because I didn't know they were gonna build back there.
Well, sir, I can tell you that this particular project is at the end of Auburn Hill Road. And in the area where that house is being proposed, there are no wetlands there. The wetlands you're talking about are located further down from this proposed lot. And my suggestion is this: we have limited jurisdiction over this. This project was submitted to us because it was within the jurisdiction of the wetlands. I think to the extent that you have these issues, and I've heard this from other butters and other people in that neighborhood, that is really not something that we can address. It's not within our jurisdiction. We don't have the power to do anything about it. I would suggest that you contact the DPW about it.
It's on the back side of their property.
I understand that, sir.
DPW does not go on private property.
I understand that, sir. But where this project is located, have you been out to, have you seen the plans for this particular
I
project?
haven't, but alls I got to think that they were extending the sewer lines, but they wanted to put 3 houses down there.
That's not happening, sir. This is one lot that's being proposed.
One lot, okay.
And that the other 2 lots aren't buildable, correct?
Sir, I mean, ma'am,
Yeah.
I think initially the plan, and Mr. Scott can actually address this issue. I think the original plan was to put in 2 lots, and I think for other issues, including the size of the turnaround of the cul-de-sac that would have needed to be constructed, my understanding is that approval would not be given for 2 lots, and so the property owner has reconfigured their plan for basically 1 lot for 1 home. Is that correct, Mr. Scott?
Yes, that is correct. At this time, they have no ability to extend the road, which would be required in order to gain access to the lot next door to the one we're talking about, which is not, which is not wetland. The third lot is entirely wetland and cannot be constructed. So at this time, unless something changes with Gerwitz and Goldstein, and there's been no indication that'll happen after about 5 months of discussion, the owner is looking to build their own home here, and that would be the end of it.
As long as the water don't run down on my property, they can grade it the way they want.
I mean, sir, I believe the owner doesn't want their land to be flooded either.
Are they 100 feet from the brook where they're building?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the gas line? How close is
No,
the gas line to him?
The mobile line goes right through there too. We got Tennessee Gas and we got mobile,
Mhm.
but this is conservation, I understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, again,
There's no wetlands there, that's fine.
I mean, I can tell you, we walked that property, I believe, last fall, and we walked the entire site, and there's no question, towards where I guess your property is located, there are wetlands there. And to the point where that third lot that Mr. Scott was referring to is not a buildable lot. But where this lot is being proposed, there are no wetlands. You know, and just again, I've seen videos of water sheeting down Auburn Hill Road. When it, you know, after a not even a necessarily a substantial storm event, and I think there are drainage issues. I'm not even talking about Southhold. I'm talking about Auburn Hill Road.
Yeah.
And those are drainage issues that really need to be addressed by the DPW. The water line is probably undersized for that street, and you know, in terms of the cost to get that done, I have no idea. I have no idea if there are any plans to try to alleviate that water issue. I think, but I think to the extent you have concerns, and I understand your concerns.
As long as they don't send the water,
No, sir, that's, my understanding is that they have no intention of doing that, and they're not doing that, sir.
Right.
Okay?
I don't understand why it's a buildable lot after all these years, but that's fine.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not against houses, I just don't want the mess that comes along with it.
I understand, sir.
Like up the top of the hill, who posted his thing, we had that much mud in the road for months, you know? I have no problem with it, as long as I don't end up with a mess.
Any other comments?
No.
All right, if there are no other comments, Mr. Scott, do you have anything else to add?
No, I do not. Thank you.
That being the case, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. All right, thank you. We should be rendering a decision this evening.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you. And again, sir, to your point, I think, call the DPW.
I can call the DPW, they're gonna probably laugh at me, but, I mean, well, the brook, I will call them about the brook, but
Please do.
because it's a mess down there by the tunnels, you know, where it was on the cell phone. The water comes up because all the Packagug drains into that brook too, you know, they're all piped in.
Mhm.
And then when they built all the houses up the street in Worcester, all that water comes down. When you get a good rainstorm, it's almost over the road,
Yeah, I understand.
okay?
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for
Hey,
coming.
is there any way- you guys get a copy of the plan that they're building up there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, I don't know if I have one handy right now. Could I get an email or something from you guys so I could send it over?
Actually, I'll just swing up tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah, you can do that too.
You know, sir, it's a public record, so I mean, you
Yeah.
can actually, you can go to the town website if you have a computer, and you can
Yeah,
actually,
that's also true.
it's a PDF, and you can print it if you have a printer.
Okay.
So you can't get it online if that's what you'd like. Otherwise, you could pick up a copy from
Yeah,
the town hall.
Yeah, I get by here all the time. So.
Yeah, yeah, it'll take 10 seconds. Get that ready for you.
All right, well, thank you for
Thank you
coming.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Right. The next item on our agenda is 7:10 public hearing, BSC Group of notice of intent for property at 369 Southbridge Street for the construction of a walking path between the Auburn Public Library and Goddard Park. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Mr. Byrne, Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
I like your guitars, Mr. Byrne.
Nice.
Thanks.
Cool.
Me too.
So we can discuss that some other time. In any event, we walked the site, several of us walked the site with you this past Saturday. And I think we had some suggestions. I think we were trying to come up with places where we could actually increase wetland habitat or wetland plantings. And I just wondered, I know we haven't had a lot of time perhaps to commit those ideas to paper, but what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, as we've discussed, I think it's a great idea. I think there's opportunity on the site. I have had conversations with our project manager and learned that bids are going out this week, or requests for bids are going out this week. So, we won't be able to include provisions that you might require in your order in this current process. We'll have to look at that as a change order operation once as we are underway. So there'll be some resistance, I think, from the additional costs and so forth. But like we talked about, it's there's ample opportunity on that site to improve the wetland conditions in the riverfront area and so forth.
Okay, so how are we going to facilitate that? See, normally the way I think this works is that you submit a plan to us and then we approve the plan instead of submitting the plan that's been approved when we've asked for some changes and then doing it later. I have some concern that there might be greater resistance if we approve your plan with someone saying, well, you approved this plan. Why should we, add additional wetland areas? So there's my concern, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate that concern.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of control over that aspect of how things are going forward.
All right. Well, is this a situation where maybe a continuance of 2 weeks might help the powers that be maybe consider what we've asked for?
The ideal thing would be to kind of have an ask that I can sort of approach the powers that be with.
Letter.
So if we had some sort of specific thoughts that we could put together and move forward with that sort of line of discussion.
Okay, so if you need a formal request from us, I think we'd be happy to accommodate you. So with that in mind, will you assent to continue the public hearing for this for 2 weeks to May 25th? May 25th,
Sure.
rather?
Pardon, could you say that again? May
Sure. May 24th will be our next meeting.
24. Okay. Okay.
That's agreeable to you?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anything else on for May 24th?
Depending on, I'm assuming you guys are going to be closing the other two things on the agenda for tonight. Yeah. So that would be the 7 p.m.
Okay.
That's the
So
only thing.
what we'll do, Mr. Byrne, is we'll continue this matter to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 24th.
Okay.
Okay?
Would it be possible to sort of have a conversation in the interim?
Well, what
So-
we'll do is, and I think your request is a fair one. What we can do is that we can commit to writing some of the things we discussed last Saturday, and then we can proceed from there. Tom?
Through the chair. Mr. Byrne, I was not at the last meeting. I did go to the site on my own time, and I've been to the site in the past, and obviously, one of my questions would be, there's signs posted about the waterfowl there. And there are a lot of geese, ducks, and everything. There's a lot of droppings everywhere. And are there any plans in this project as far as any type of remediation for that, or to try to keep it to a minimum?
Oh boy, not to my knowledge, do you have thoughts about how that might be accomplished?
Do we?
Yeah, I did. I've gone there to go with my
Do you-
wife to have like something to eat at the park benches, and you can't. They're filthy. You know, it's just one of those things. It's wildlife, which we love, but unfortunately, they can make a mess. So I just didn't know if there was any
Then
plan.
why, I guess the question is, why do geese congregate there in the first place? Just because it's near the pond?
Yeah.
That's,
Yep.
Because they go there year after year.
Right.
But those
so we have to
those
change the
geese will go
psychology.
there. No, you can't, because
Okay.
those geese will go there year after year to mate and breed.
Uh-huh.
There's addling programs, there's kite programs,
Yeah.
there's sound machine
Yep.
programs, there's elimination programs, but
There's
you
honey.
know,
Yeah, I don't know of very many municipalities that have had success.
It should be hunting. It's just one other option. Okay. God, please. All right, and any,
Go Fly Away, you have to watch the movie Go Fly Away.
I have seen it.
Okay, all right, I'm just throwing it out.
We're not gonna build a plane and try to divert them somewhere else.
Okay.
And then, anyway, in all seriousness, we'll send you a letter, asking, I guess, containing our wish list. And with any luck, we
Yeah.
can, you have, reach consensus, in our next meeting.
I have a
That'd be great.
Sure.
One more.
I've been trying to find in this document where it talks about, I think I asked you this question when we were on the sidewalk too, like, to what extent the actual stream bank will be, impacted and like, you know, how will it be stabilized if it does need to be, I mean, like, is there a plan to like just rip wrap the whole thing, or like, I'm just trying to figure out what it's gonna look like when after the path goes through there.
So the bank itself won't be impacted because the footings for the footbridge are well up above, up on that terrace.
Okay.
So the bank won't be touched.
Okay.
But I can get you details on, you know, how that is stabilized, you know, when a footing is built like that.
Okay. That would be good. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Byrne, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
So is there a motion to continue the public hearing for BSC Group to May 24th at 7 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. When we were on the site, I mean, we see an opportunity to increase wetland areas.
Mhm.
We also talked about the possibility of retaining a consultant.
Hmm.
And it seems to me a consultant might be well equipped to look at the site and suggest areas where wetland can be expanded.
Okay.
So we have the money, we have the funds in our account. So is there a motion?
Well, I'm definitely on board with the increasing the wetland area, but even the areas where we, you know, there's that one area we talked about actually maybe having the opportunity to create some wetlands.
Right.
But also even the areas, you know, that aren't really wetlands, there's still the opportunity there to create better habitat and do native plantings and landscaping,
And it
so.
would be the whole thing. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. So, yeah, I think the one area that seems to probably be most amenable to expand the wetland would be near the fire station, the back near the fire station.
Mhm.
So, and that's also adjacent to the park with goose droppings. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think to your point, not only wetland, but also native planting, so,
was it revealed where the funding was for this was coming from? Was it the town
I don't think it's a town, I think it's a grant of some kind.
grant?
You know, and Richard is shaking his head, so if Richard says it's a grant, then I believe him.
Can we write our own grant?
Well, I was just thinking through through grant proposals, you're pretty specific with what you're doing and how you're spending the
Yeah.
funds. So
That's right.
I don't know if expanding upon their projects, our vision will be within
And I
the
think
parameters of the grant. I'm not,
he alluded to that too.
so it's difficult because I know that we would like to see expansion of that, but grants are typically
Well,
very,
we don't know the scope
Right, so-
of the grant. I mean, the
Right.
reality is that, I mean, if they tell us they can't, then they can't,
right,
you know?
but that reality can exist, so it's
I mean,
just
you know,
something to.
his answer, well, you know, approve our
Mhm.
project the way it is and we'll see if we can do it later.
No.
No, it's not gonna work,
Doesn't work.
you know, so.
But like, I don't think I've seen like a planting plan. I can't imagine they're gonna do this project and not do any landscaping.
I think initially they were gonna put grass down. It was
Okay.
when, I mean, Catherine talked about native plantings and he kind of said, well, yeah, we can do that. So I don't think they've paid a lot of attention to that,
Yeah.
aspect of it. I think they're paying attention to, putting in, the walking path. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they filed appropriately with us, but I think there are aspects of that plan that could be improved, you know?
Right.
So, and it seems to me, the person or the group best equipped to do that is probably a consultant.
Mhm.
So, my thought was, and again, you don't, we can take a vote on it. If you don't agree, that's fine. But my thought was that, by getting a consultant on board, they can probably turn this around in a few weeks. Maybe not by the time of the last meeting in May, but certainly by June.
So. I guess I'm just trying to understand how what the consultant prepares for us would help us achieve the goal. I mean, obviously they're gonna have the guidance there, but like more specifically, but is this something if DPW looks at it and they're like, yeah, we're still not gonna do it.
Well,
Well, I mean, is it something we could then, like, we would apply for?
I don't know if it's.
What do we want
DPW.
specifically for the consultant to do?
We want them to evaluate the project for opportunities to increase wetland area
Mhm.
and native plantings,
Okay.
basically. I mean, I think it's a pretty narrow scope,
Okay.
you know, and so I don't think frankly, it would cost that much. You know, my thought, someone, like Ecotech, I think would be well equipped to do something like this. You know, as I think you're aware, Ecotech, represents many applicants before this board. We have used Ecotech ourselves, in a consulting capacity on other jobs, and so we have a familiarity with them, we're comfortable with them. They're capable and they're competent in what they do, so,
Would they provide like a budget with it also?
absolutely, oh yeah. So if, if we decide to hire someone to look at this from that point of view, we can certainly ask them to, you know, give us an idea of how much time it's gonna be, what the budget would be. I don't frankly think it'd be that much, you know?
I don't think it would. I mean, if you get into like moving earth and stuff, then that could be.
Sure, but in terms of doing the evaluation and the
The
proposals
evaluation.
of what they would do in terms of native plantings, then I don't think that would be.
No, they've got the plan
Right.
here. They just-
Well, I mean, if DPW doesn't, you know, help us realize this vision, I mean, we would have that plan then that we could look at applying for other, you know, for grant money to get that also with that plan.
I suppose that's true.
But DPW would likely not have any involvement with this.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know who would actually do the work, to be honest with you.
Going
I
out
think,
to public bid.
I think they would
so-
put it out to bid and they would have someone, probably an independent,
Yeah.
contractor
Right.
do it, so. Okay, well, does anyone feel comfortable in making a motion to hire a consultant to do an overview of this?
Make a motion that we hire a consultant to take a look at these plans, evaluate it, and make some proposals to increase, to make it a better project, something that we're looking towards.
Okay,
I would just like to amend that to say, like, with specific regard to increasing wildlife habitat using native plantings and expanding wetland
okay,
area.
absolutely. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. All right. So, I mean, I think Ecotech is probably best equipped to do this. So what I can do is I can prepare a letter, and then we can send it out asking for a budget, and we will go from there.
Great.
So are we also sending a letter to DPW? No.
DPW won't have anything to do with this
I don't think
project.
so.
Okay.
Because it's,
I don't think they will have any.
it's just like that whole Drury Square thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they had any say in it because it was put out to bid.
Obviously
They
not.
Did their stuff, yeah.
Because whoever the
exactly.
dum-dum was that did that
Never-
whole thing in the stupid post office was an imbecile.
Oh, let's put a bike lane so people can get killed on a bicycle, honest to God, it's,
Oh. Does anybody park at that first parking space? No. No.
For the post office,
Yeah,
it's treacherous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to go down there to do my certified mail. I go around the building to the
Yeah,
back.
of course you do.
Yeah, it's always what to do.
yeah, because you're gonna, your car is gonna
The
slam.
first time I went into
It's like,
it's petrified. I'm in a town vehicle.
Yeah, no.
Can't scratch this thing on.
Well, okay.
I have.
That's how I really feel about it. I just let loose.
I didn't know how you felt.
You
I
did
really
it?
didn't. No.
Just in case you
Don't-
didn't,
don't
I'm
hold
just
back.
gonna
Don't
tell
hold
you
back,
right now.
Michelle.
Yeah, I'm
Hold
not
back,
gonna.
Michelle.
Nope.
Megan, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like drag this discussion out too much about this, but I'm just like wondering how, in general, we might think about, like, I mean, there's definitely some overlap in things that like we would be interested in seeing the community improved in a certain way with like regards to conservation.
Dark Brick Reservoir, you know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
things that with the public works, like it's very much in their domain. Like how trying to, I guess, make
Be
that
more
a better
cohesive.
relationship
Yeah.
and more communication. I don't know. I just like
With her.
right now we've just been talking like through a consultant. Nobody's talking to each other or seems to have any. I mean, I don't know anybody in public works. I'm just wondering if people have relationships there or
Well,
if
at one
there's.
point, we actually had a good relationship with Bill Coyle.
Mm.
But Bill then went to Worcester. And so we really don't have, and we haven't had a need to really have a conversation or discussion with them. But I think, to the extent that we have similar goals or our interests overlap, I think it's a good idea. So maybe that's something we could investigate,
Would this be a good opportunity to have a DPW representative at one of our meetings about this project where?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if they have an interest in this, to be
No.
honest with you.
Really?
You know?
They do.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'd
don't
bet no.
know. I don't know that they have any jurisdiction, for example, for the spillway or for the pond. I really don't. I mean, for example, when we were walking there Saturday, there are big branches that are strewn across the spillway.
Do they even live in
Someone
the
should take
town?
those out.
Do the DPW people live in our town?
I don't know.
Good
They
question.
don't have to.
No.
And that's the thing.
Well-
If they don't live here, they don't have to deal with it.
Well,
Mhm.
What is the stated? I mean,
But it makes their job
purpose
harder,
of
correct?
public
If
works.
there's,
Not
I
if
mean,
they
we could
just
look
say
it up.
no.
Sorry.
well, they maintain the water and sewer lines. They deal with emergencies. I think that's sort of a general overview of what they do. In terms of other wetland resources or water sources, I don't know, frankly, what jurisdiction they have.
As a working member of the Worcester DPW, I can tell you exactly what we do.
Yes.
Please.
So,
Speak up, Patrick.
What
yeah.
happened?
So, at least in Worcester, the DPW is also responsible for maintaining the reservoirs, the entire system. So, it's the reservoirs, it's land management plans, it's
Land management plan.
right. It's land management plans for the reservoirs. It's just like just for like in rec departments, like park and rec departments, they have 7-year goal plans. Essentially, they have a very similar thing set by DEP, the same regulations. So
Don't-
the water department, that's all management, hydrants and infrastructure. That's all fine too. I don't know who owns the dam, but a lot of dams are owned by DPWs. A lot of them are privately owned. It's terrifying.
Who owns Stone River Reservoir?
That's the great big question. We don't really know I don't know who owns it. If the DPW owns it, then they would be managing the property as well. So they'd be in charge of the security of it and the maintenance of
it
it,
seems
and
to me
access of it.
Somewhere there has to be a scope of work. There has to be a description of all their responsibilities.
Right.
I mean, so just like, it's easy for us because we know our jurisdiction is governed by the Wetlands Protection Act, the Rivers Act, and then our bylaws and regulations. But I think that's an interesting question. We should contact them and say, what are you responsible for? number one. Secondly, to what extent does your scope of work overlap with what we do in our jurisdiction? So I think that's a letter that should go out. So I'll draft something.
Cool.
It did once come up before, there was a drawdown, and we were unsure who needed to speak to who, and it just always happened. But I believe DPW was the one that initiated and executed the drawdowns. However, I believe that heavily impacts us. And
Yeah.
we should be alerted to drawdowns and other communities that happen. So
Yeah.
that was like that happened some years ago. I remember that coming up. So you know, there are things that are more overlapping than others.
Well, in the job you do for the Worcester DPW, what interaction do you have with the Worcester Conservation Commission? Do you have any?
I don't have too much interaction. However, one of the reservoirs borders. Most of the reservoir land isn't within the confines of Worcester city limits. So it's actually in Leicester and Paxton and Holden. So there's another added layer of the airport. The backside of Worcester Airport is against the reservoir that's actually technically in Leicester. So it's even more complicated than anything. So the tributaries all flow from all the way up from Wachusett Mountain and flow all the way down. So it gets really complicated with 5 different towns. And in the end, the DPW doesn't really have to deal with the conservation commissions unless we're ripping up people's lawns for pipes. So, I mean, once we
Probably look at it as a nuisance anyway.
Uh,
The Conservation Commissions, I mean. In any
they're inundated in Worcester. I mean, there's a pond every 15 feet in the middle of Worcester. How unique is that?
Uh-huh.
You know, do you think Price Chopper is going to the Conservation Commission to ask if they can
Nope.
fix
Mill
something
Street?
in their parking lot and there's Elm Park across the street? Probably not.
Probably not.
Not to make fun of, any particular entity, but
I
just,
fished all the waters along Mill Street as a kid growing up, from Logan Field all the way down to Close Pond.
it's just unique, yeah. I know the
It's really
person that runs the
cool.
Lakes and Ponds program. They take an unbelievable amount of data on every single body of water in Worcester, and it's fascinating how they work. And they're part of DPW. Well, they were part of DPW for a little bit, so
Okay.
it's there is some overlap. But no, it's
What-
interesting.
That's
And it seems, some conservation commission, like other conservation commissions too, also seem like they have more overlap with like open space planning and things like that too, where they might overlap with public works. And I don't know. It seems like every commission is a little different and they're,
It has to be written into their open space plan.
okay.
If it's not written into it, they don't have to do it, and it's not even like on their list of things to do.
The conservation.
So like in the land, so for your open space plan for your Parks and Rec department, you would have to say like, we want to build a new park over here. We want to replace the surface at this park. We want to fill in the potholes at this place. And then you go through the list, and it's usually ordered in that order for whatever it is, 7 years. So to add on to that later, it'll probably get pushed to the next 7 years. So that time restraint in and of itself makes it almost impossible to go about doing things unless it's an emergency. Slide snaps in half and then you have to put up a slide. So it's kind of the same thing just with trees and forests. You want to cut a big acre of trees and sell it, it's going to be in the lists. It's not, you're going to have a lot of pushback from different entities.
Interesting.
So it's all planned out and it's all budgeted. In Worcester, to replace pipe infrastructure, it's like a 10-year waiting list. So if you have a pipe from 1880, which a lot of people do, then, there's not much you could do except a handful of roads get emergency changed over in that year and stuck onto the budget. And you really have to push for it and know who to call and all that, so.
I mean,
Stuff.
when we were on Auburn Hill Road I was showing videos and just the water sheeting down the road.
Yeah.
Not even from a particularly heavy storm event. And it's like, the cost to probably redo the piping in that road got to be
Millions.
millions. Yeah, exactly.
Millions.
So, to your point about being on a list. So, I feel sorry. I do.
I know.
I am empathetic and sympathetic to his concerns, Mr. Usher's concerns, but I'm not sure what you can do about it.
Right.
So anyway, we closed 2 hearings for request for determination of applicability. So for 735 Southbridge Street, which is the Quick Chambers dealership, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue a standard order plus the following special conditions.
Nope.
It's the RDA.
It's the RDA.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't mind me.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to talk about lawn days? I make a motion that we issue a negative determination
Okay.
for
735 Southbridge Street.
735 South Street.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. And then for 12 Auburn Hill Road, is there a motion?
Make a motion to issue a negative determination for 12 Auburn Hill Road.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, and then we continue the public hearing for the walking path. We have meeting minutes, folks. Very exciting.
So exciting. Looks like we can get them all done, at least.
One can hope. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thanks.
So for the meeting minutes of March 9th of 2022, we have, there are three of us here, so we have a quorum sufficient to act on the meeting minutes.
The 15.
Okay. Any changes for March 9th, 2022?
Nope. Good to me.
Okay. Megan, anything?
I think Tony DeFeutis' name is spelled wrong, but that's a
DEFEUDIS?
D-E-F. Is that how you spell it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then I don't know what you mean.
All right. In that case, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes of March 9, 2022?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Those who were present at the meeting, vote. Say aye.
Aye.
There's no opposition. I was not present, so I am not voting. Okay, so those meeting minutes are approved. For the meeting minutes of March 25 of 2022. And actually, all of us were present, so all members that are here tonight are
March
present.
25?
I'm sorry, May 25th.
Oh, look it. It's this meeting that I asked. It's this meeting that I asked how we determine which ponds we use. I'm gonna go look that up.
Okay. Aside from that, are there any
I don't
changes?
see anything.
Okay. Megan, anything?
Mm-mm.
Patrick, any changes?
Not that I see.
All right, in that case, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 25th, 2022?
I moved,
Yeah.
I moved to
Do that?
do that, yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Abstain.
Okay, very good. Meeting minutes of June 8th of 2022.
Read these, just can't believe it's been a year.
I know,
Mhm.
time flies.
That's usually
Uh-huh.
Great.
beaver issues reported.
Oh, no.
Beaver issues. 90 Washington.
I
The
say
Capitol meeting.
We approve the meeting minutes of June 8th.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it's a vote. And then finally, the meeting minutes of June 22nd of 2022.
I just have one quick comment.
Okay,
It's actually on this one, when we did, those walks for 12 and 14 Auburn Hill Road. We had that hearing early tonight. I'm like, wow.
so it was a year ago.
It was like a year
It was a year ago.
Wow. Almost.
Yeah, I remember it was a warm day that day. So, okay, any changes?
No changes.
Anyone? In that case, is there a motion?
Motion to accept the meeting minutes of June 22nd, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Abstain.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, everyone. Is there any new business? There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Never opposed. It's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much.
This conference is no longer being recorded.